What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel as well as on Twitch, so make sure you come by and say hello. This video is also brought to you by my music, which is available anywhere you stream music under the name Aftersound, and I do have a new song out recently called Just Kids, so check it out. Let me know what you think, and I appreciate the support. All right, guys, let's talk about land resources this time because it is actually kind of crazy to see the prices spiking the way that they are. Now, first of all, take a look at the grain factor for wood. Wood is this one that is literally going vertical here on the grain factor, but you can see it even more so down here on the cost per 1,000 resources. Now, I know my face is covering the grain part, and actually, I'll just take the time to move that over. Oh, that's the wrong one. So, but you can see the wood one there in brown. Here we go. I'll move my face to the other side. And as I was saying, you can see even here that wood is going vertical in its price. Now, what's interesting is that we can see grain having a little bit of a sell-off here. And my guess is that a lot of people loaded up on grain. And once the card sold out in literally 30 minutes, everybody was like, oh, okay, well, there's not much else I need to do with this grain. The utility is gone from it and all that, right? So until, if I'm holding on to excess grain, let me sell it at a high right now. So there's been a significant amount of sell-off there, which, again, not surprising. Will the same thing happen to wood once that card potentially sells out? Again, we're like, I think about maybe like 60 to 70%. No, probably 70 to 80% of the way through. But there's still demand for it there. Now, the other ones have not moved as much, and we've talked about this extensively, right? Both iron and stone. And I forgot who left this comment, but I saw a preview of this comment, and I will give credit where it's due when I do the comments video. I'll come across it again and make sure to give it a special shout out there. But somebody left a comment and said maybe the reason that there is no, the reason that the reason that stone and iron were not required in as high quantities, meaning that we weren't trying to burn through as much excess supply as we were with grain and wood, is because, and even aura, is because of the fact that iron and stone might be heavily required for buildings, and that should be coming out with, whatever iteration of land 2.0 we get in 2026. And I was like, okay, actually that makes a lot of sense, right? So they didn't want to burn through too much of that for these land cards, although I don't think that would have necessarily been a bad thing. But I can understand if Matt's running the numbers here and he's looking at this on a 6-month, 12-month scale, trying to, just go for something short here would have been short-sighted, I guess, right? Because if you look at the costs, even still with those costs, it seems as though maybe there was room to rise for both grain and wood, whereas there wasn't as much room to rise for stone and iron. Now, granted, we've still seen a decent, I don't want to say spike, but it's an uptrend, right? You can see like stone here back at the beginning of November bottomed out at like 68, and it's started to move up in a very significant way. I mean, actually, if you look at it from where it was in early November, from 68 up to 90, I mean, that's a decent percentage gain, right? Similarly, if you look here, iron is the same thing. We can go all the way back to July. That was the original date that I was looking at, but even still, over these past couple of weeks, it is continuing to rise. So as we move forward, I would guess that wood is still going to play an essential role in the construction of buildings or whatever comes within land 2.0 or whatever iteration we get of that in 2026. But on the whole, it's exciting to see a very dynamic marketplace within just land, right? Just the land ecosystem is starting to have its own kind of peaks and valleys, or I don't want to say pumps and dumps, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like there's a lot of really cool and exciting things that are happening here. Now that we have 6 to 8 months of data, actually maybe, this year has gone by fast. So we got this at the end of February, so almost like a year's worth of data, right, on this stuff, and we've gotten more and more utility for land. Land has become a more integrated part of the game, whether it's through aura, whether it's through potions, whether it's through mage wagons, now with these land cards, right? So there's a lot of ways in which I'm excited to see what Matt does, not just with land in the future, but guilds, for example, right? Or maybe even survival mode, for example. I mean, we were talking about these revival potions for so long. I still think that those should be coming back into the mix at some point whenever survival mode does come in. But survival mode is something we haven't talked about in a while. I'm hoping we get an update on that very soon. But, we're potentially getting a couple of other game modes I don't know the time frame, but hopefully within the first half of 2026 with a guild overhaul as well as survival mode coming back. And survival mode hopefully being in a better place. And the thing is, in a better place with significantly less cards. Like, we burned a decent amount of all these extra cards that are just kind of sitting out there in the marketplace, at least the higher level ones, right? A lot of the folks who got these land cards went and just straight up CP mined, right, for all these different cards for Cinder. So at the end of the day, I'm very excited to see this development in land. Wood is skyrocketing. Will it continue to go that way? Probably not, right? There's going to be peaks and valleys with this stuff, but on the whole, it is really great to see how dynamic the resources and the land economy have become. So let me know your thoughts on this. That is all I have for you guys in this video. Otherwise, I'll catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.